They just don't get it. They don't. You know, they could easily just take the L and just say, hey, you know what? Maybe we just created a bad game. Maybe we spent $400 million on a game for no reason because it was a bad game. The writing was poor, the gameplay was poor. People could describe the game as like basically like mobile style combat. The characters were terribly written. The puzzles were basically holding your hand the entire time. No DLC, no expansions, buggy, and instead, EA, BioWare want to come out and say, "Oh, well, the reason we failed was because of this. The reason we failed was instead of just taking accountability and saying, yeah, we just made a bad game. I don't know why it's so hard for them just to admit that they made a bad game. In fact, more people would probably respect them if they had just come out and said, hey, yeah, we made a bad game. We were determined to put out a Dragon Age game after 10 years, and, maybe we rushed. That's all you had to do. That's all you have to do. And maybe people would finally gain a little bit of respect for you. But all you're doing is pushing people away because this shows that you're never going to take accountability for your actions. So EA CEO claims Dragon Age: The Veilguard failed due to lack of live service elements. EA CEO Andrew Wilson, actually, hang on. Just like my wee, it's really small. Okay, there we go. There we go. That should be better. That should be better. And claimed BioWare's action role-playing game Dragon Age: The Veilguard failed due to its lack of live service elements. Like multiplayer, DLC, or store, like a game store, like skins and loot boxes. During EA's Q3 2025 earnings conference call, CEO Andrew Wilson, I had a friend in high school named Andrew Wilson. Pretty cool guy. Expressed disappointment with the company's financial performance during the quarter. He brought up the lower than expected performance of EA Sports FC franchise as one of the reasons. He also mentioned that while Dragon Age: The Veilguard launched successfully, keep in mind, after 3 months, the game has still barely sold over 1 million copies. So what success are they talking about? What success are not even it was like 89,000 players? That's nothing for a franchise as large and beloved as Dragon Age. It shouldn't have been 89,000 players. It should have been well like a Black Myth Wukong level, 400,000 players, but it didn't even get a fraction of that. 30,000 refunds within the first couple of days, which is ridiculous. So what are they launched successfully? I mean, if you mean that they were able to play the game on day one, then I guess that's a success. And received strong reviews from both critics and players. Oh my god. It struggled to attract a broader player base in an increasingly competitive market. He revealed that the game engaged around 1.5 million players, which is terrible, during Q3 2025, falling short of almost 50% of what EA had expected. Again, 3 months, and the game barely sold over 1 million copies. The game took $400 million to make, plus another 200-300 for marketing. That's 700 million, because they said they would have to sell at least 10 million copies in order to make back what they spent. So, yeah, they only made about 105 million out of that 700 million that they were wanting to make. Does that sound like a success? Financially, does it sound like a success? Not, oh, well, I enjoyed the game. Good for you. I say this all the time. Good for you. But you liking the game doesn't make it a financial success. Regarding Dragon Age, the Veilguard's inability to reach a wider audience, Wilson said that the game must align with the changing expectations of players who prioritize shared world features and deeper engagement alongside compelling narratives, which it lacked all of that. It lacked the world features, obviously. It lacked deeper engagement, and it lacked the compelling narratives. If they had stuck with their original design of the game to make it Dragon Age Dreadwolf, the game probably would have been a bit more of a success. People would rather see Solus as the villain than the Elven Gods. Ooh. Because another game where the gods are the evil people, you know, oppressing those who live beneath them. And so if Solus had remained the antagonist and had remained Dragon Age Dreadwolf, it probably would have sold a little more. Because that's what people wanted. They wanted to, ever since the last game, they want to see Solus as like the villain. You know, personally, obviously not a bad person, but I can call him the Master Xehanort. You know, he has the best intentions. It's just he's doing it the wrong way. So he's a beloved character, and people would love to see him as the antagonist. And it looked like he was being set up as the antagonist in the beginning of the game, but then he's like, nope, see you guys later. See you guys later. Have fun with those elven gods. Those elven gods that you hate so much. And that was another reason, because the writing was just terrible. And again, if these people were just to say, you know what, you're right. The gamers were right. We didn't give it our best. It was 10 years, and we wanted to get out a Dragon Age game that we thought people would like. Maybe we rushed. Maybe we didn't. You know, if they just admitted that, it would be fine. But they just, it was the gamer's fault. It was this. They don't take accountability at all. And the more excuses they throw out, the more people are going to look at them and say, okay, well, why would I want to support this company? They clearly have no accountability at all. They take no responsibility for their actions. So any game that comes out in the future, if it fails, they're just going to blame everything else instead of them. And all you're doing is just minimizing your consumer base. And those few, even the people, like I went over, was it Uni Fadewalker? She was one who's just constantly, you know, the entire time, like, oh my god, top surgery scars, pronouns, oh, this is gonna be the best fucking game ever. And now she's realizing, oh gee, maybe the company doesn't actually care about us. So when the people who are diehard fans, the people who will defend you tooth and nail, are suddenly now saying that, oh gee, maybe they don't care about us, who are you going to have left? You're not going to have anyone to defend you. You're not going to have anyone to buy your game anymore. So just grow some fucking balls. I know that might be difficult for some people there. Grow some fucking balls, admit that you were wrong, and just admit that you made a bad game. It's okay to admit that you made a bad game. I mean, I would say, you know, no one's going to think any less of you, but if you just admitted it, maybe people would respect you more. Because at least then you'd be doing something that most gaming companies don't do. Instead, everyone else just blames everyone else. Oh, it's the gamer's fault. No, just admit that you fucked up and be done with it. Ironically, Dragon Age: The Veilguard originally started off as a live service game, as revealed by the game's co-directors Corinne Bush and John Epler. Ultimately, however, they pivoted to a single-player experience. Bush said that she felt very supported through this decision by BioWare and EA. According to her, it's intimidating to buck the trends in an era where it feels like almost every game must be an open world. Added for BioWare, that in which it tells the best stories and stays true to its. Okay. More to its roots is through a more handcrafted and intimate experience. Wilson now seems to believe that pivoting back to a single-player experience was the wrong call for Dragon Age: The Veilguard. Any... Come on. Only one comment. No, I failed because it's an RPG without any meaningful rules to play. Baldur's Gate 3 seemed to do fine without live service elements. Concord was going to have oodles of live service elements and failed even harder than they did. The CEO is an idiot, or saying that he or saying what he has to keep his job. For a game to be successful, it needs to be fun before anything else, which is literally the entire purpose of every decent game, to be fun. Colonel Mustard? Oh, that's nice. Colonel Mustard, I've got a wrench if you need one. But yeah, that's the purpose of the game. Wasn't fun. The game wasn't fun. People did not find it fun. People said that the combat was basically that of a mobile game, which if you're playing it on console, should not feel like a mobile game. The puzzles, gamers are capable of solving some of the most complex puzzles. Like, you have secret crap in like World of Warcraft for these secret bosses and stuff like that, where you need to, you're going around different continents and stuff like that, and you're clicking on things that are barely noticeable, and somehow people figure this crap out. Gamers are capable of solving like the most complicated puzzles. This game was like, you take this over here and you put it over there. You see that statue? You need to turn it a little bit. It held your hand the entire time. From the beginning of the game to the end of the game, the puzzles were too easy, and you don't want that in a game. You want to be challenged. The puzzles were bad. The dialogue sounds like it was written by a 5-year-old. The romances were written by people who sound like they've never flirted or been flirted with before. It was just a terrible game. The characters weren't relatable. You can't really see yourself in the game, for the most part, because it's really only skin deep. So it's like, it was just a bad game. So a live service wouldn't have done much. It still would have been a bad game. Again, if they had just kept it the original design of Dragon Age Dreadwolf, it may have been a little better. But nope, they had to do away with that too. So, again, if they just come out and say, you know what, we fucked up, maybe we'd have some more respect for them. But no, instead they're blaming, oh, it was the gamer. It was the phobes. It was it was isms. It was, the lack of live service elements and just everything but them. And again, when you're getting people like Unifade Walker and other YouTubers like her who are diehard fans and staunch believers in what you're doing and defenders and all that, and now they're saying like, I don't really think BioWare or they really even cared about us. You're fucking up. But instead of just admitting you made a bad game, which there's nothing wrong with admitting that, no, let's just blame everything else. Blame everything else. The sky was too dark that day. Well, why'd the game fail? The wind. I was getting to work and the wind was just blowing too hard. I mean, just start blaming anything at this point. The sun was shining too hard into the offices that day. But, it's, when do you just take accountability and say, yeah, we fucked up, we made a bad game? Anyway, what do I know? That's gonna do it for me. You guys know the drill. I'll see you guys later. Bye, guys.